Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of The Bullet. My name is Paul Lathrop. I'm the Deputy Director of New Media for the Second Amendment Foundation. Got 5 stories here for you tonight. We may make it in about 30 minutes. We may go a little long. And if things are quick, we may go a little short. I want to remind you as we get started that you are just as big a part of this live show as I am. We are starting a little bit late today. I do hope we get a lot of views in and a lot of comments in. But the comments are the big thing. I plan for about 15 minutes of me talking and story audio to run. The rest of it, I kind of plan on you commenting and me playing off your comments for the rest of the show time. So what I'm hoping you will do is give us comments, give us a lot of comments, both on YouTube and on Facebook, so that we can we can get the rest of the time filled. Already getting a few check-ins coming in, so I know at least one person is watching. So thank you everybody for coming in and watching. Let's go ahead and let's get started. Let me do one adjustment here real quick that I just noticed. I want to come here and let me watch this over here and make this adjustment. Wrong way. No, that's definitely the wrong way. And there we go. That looks much better. Okay. For those of you on podcast, I run with a green screen when I record this. And so when it goes out on video, if I don't have the color key adjusted correctly, I get digital fuzz behind me. And sometimes even, let me turn this on so that goes away, the top of my head becomes transparent. And that's never a good thing. So let me go ahead. Let's get started. And here's the first story I've got up for us tonight. And that's not working, so I need to come over here. I need to that's what's going on. I forgot to reset things. So let me. You know, guys, this is I put this show together in a little bit of a hurry, and so I forgot to take a couple steps to make sure I was ready for prime time. I am ready for prime time, I believe now. Let's try this again. Here's story number 1.
Last week, an Arkansas man was arrested in connection with the U.S. Capitol riot on January 6, 2021. Nathan Earl Hughes has 4 charges pending against him, including a felony count of interfering with police during a civil disorder. Arkansas Online has an article, archived links, detailing the investigation and the charges against him. There is an important sentence in the above tweet/post from the Hodge twins, and that is this. The feds called the manufacturer of his Liberty gun safe and got the passcode to get into it too. It comes as a surprise to many of us, although it shouldn't, that an electronic keypad has a secret factory default passcode that allows entry into the safe besides the customer configured passcode. We don't know if this default passcode is unique to each safe, or if it's a model default passcode, like a silly default admin/admin username password combination you find in most wireless routers that will get you entry into any Liberty safe of the same model. Looking at the customer FAQs on the Liberty Safe website, it looks like the default passcode may be unique to each safe. Likewise, although it shouldn't, it comes as a surprise to many of us that Liberty Safe gave out this passcode to the FBI with a simple phone call. The FBI clearly had an arrest warrant for Hughes, and given the circumstances of his house being searched, there was likely a search warrant too. Liberty Safe hasn't disclosed whether the FBI provided it with a copy of the search warrant or if a verbal explanation on the phone was enough for them to divulge the secret factory default passcode.
This is a story by Rajit Singh off of Bearing Arms, and there has been updates. Let me put this up on the screen. That is a tweet from Liberty Safe, And it basically, let me pull it up over here so I can see it better because my eyes just aren't what they used to be. There we go. And on August 30th, 2023, Liberty Safe was contacted by the FBI requesting the access code to the safe of an individual for whom they had a warrant to search their property. Our company protocol is to provide access codes to law enforcement if a warrant grants them access to a property. After receiving the request, we received proof of the valid warrant. Only then did we provide them with an access code. Liberty Safe had no knowledge of any of the details surrounding the investigation at that time. Liberty Safe is devoted to protecting the personal property and Second Amendment rights of our customers. Was that external? I'm sorry. And has repeatedly denied requests for access codes without a warrant in the past. We do not give out combinations without proper legal documentation being provided by authorities. We regularly update our policies to ensure both compliance with federal law and state law and reasonable consumer privacy protections within the law. First and foremost, Liberty Safe is committed to preserving our customers' rights, and we will remain unwavering in those values. And now that's a Twitter post, and this is some of the replies they got. 9MMSMG says, thanks, I have 3 large Liberty Safes in the market for a 4th. Now I know to replace them immediately because you guys suck. Sincerely, a former customer. And the Rational Prepper says, I almost pulled the trigger on a high-end Liberty Safe this week. I'm probably going to order a Fort Knox instead. It will cost a bit more, but have better security. I'm going to visit the factory to make sure they don't give the feds a back door. Honestly, on this one, I think that Liberty Safe just went Bud Light. Just went Anheuser-Busch. This, bad news for them. However, divulging that they have a back door to every safe with a digital passcode, not cool. Having a digital backdoor for every digital keypad safe, not cool. If I were in the market for a new safe, I would not go. I would go for right now. If I were looking at Liberty, I would look at an old-fashioned safe that had either keyed entry, which could be picked, or a dial, which is harder but can still be picked. And I doubt, honestly, I'd be looking at Liberty, period. As the commenter on their Twitter feed said, I'll probably be going to order a Fort Knox instead. It'll cost a bit more but have better security is what they posted. I would tend to agree with that. Bert, that's kind of a one-strike thing for me. I don't know that I can ever go with Liberty Safe now. There's a lot of safe companies out there, and Liberty would have to do a whole lot to earn my respect back. Again, if you've got comments, put them in the comments either on Facebook or YouTube. I'll get them. We'll put them online. We'll discuss your comment live. Next story coming up. This one out of Oklahoma. Here we go.
Oklahoma State Representative Justin Humphrey, Arlane, sent a letter to the Oklahoma Attorney General, the Sheriff of Pushmataha County, Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt, and all Oklahoma judicial authorities and other law enforcement entities, requesting an investigation into ATF's SWAT team raid at the home of his constituent, Russell Fincher. According to a press release, Humphrey said he was contacted by Fincher after a dozen ATF SWAT team members bearing automatic weapons raided Fincher's home, handcuffed him on his porch in front of his 13-year-old son, and coerced him into relinquishing his federal firearm license. If this report is true, and I have every reason to believe it is, then it would appear the ATF's actions constitute a gross misuse and abuse of their federal police powers, Humphrey said in the press release. Fincher's ordeal was chronicled in a story published in July. The 52-year-old is a high school teacher, a Baptist pastor, and a part-time gun dealer. Mr. Fincher is a distinguished figure in our community, serving both as pastor and school teacher in the small community of Clayton, Oklahoma. He is known as a respected member of the community, and I have every reason to believe his account. If proven true, the actions of the ATF agents could be seen as a severe misuse and abuse of their federal law enforcement authority, Humphrey wrote in a letter to the AG, governor, and sheriff. Mr. Fincher claimed that the intent of the raid was evidently to coerce him into terminating his license. He said agents pressured him to declare that he was willingly signing the 3 prepared termination papers. He explained that he felt coerced due to the armed agents and the threatening environment. He likened the agents' actions to extortion rather than a proper law enforcement search. One agent reportedly warned, "Tell your firearms buddies we are coming after them." If true, this statement appears to be an unlawful threat by the agent.
All right, let's first of all, I want to get Robert made a comment about our last story. I want to get to that comment here real quick. Not excusing their actions, but if they want in, they will get in. Well, that is absolutely true. There's no safe that's going to protect your stuff forever. If nothing else, a plasma welder is going to get in. It'll probably destroy the contents of the safe as they do it, but if they want in, they're going to get in. I just would prefer they have to put a lot more work in than making a phone call and sending an email with a copy of a warrant. That's just me. But we got a comment. Let me get this one in from Woods. Make 1984 fiction again. Amen. And a couple more here. Michael DeWine supplied both these. Wonderful surprise, 45 minutes from home. Looked earlier. Yeah, I'm running late tonight, man. I had my day just got filled up, but I wanted to get a show in tonight. I've skipped a lot of shows over the past several weeks. I wanted to be sure I got shows in all this week, so I'm going late tonight. And I apologize if I'm screwing with anybody's schedule, but going to this story about the ATF raid, they brought with them their entire the ATF's entire motive here was to get this guy to give up his FFL. They brought with them 3 forms pre-filled out for this guy to sign to give up his FFL. They handcuffed him in front of his son on his porch. I hope that in Oklahoma, one of the 3 entities, the sheriff, the attorney general, or the governor, does decide to do a full-on investigation of this. I don't know how far that can go. It's let me get comments in again. As I said earlier, you guys are at least 50% of the show. I'm okay, but you guys are great. So let me get these comments in here quick. Robert says they're using 1984 and Animal Farm as playbooks. And Woods says if it's the AFT, at least the dog lived. Yes. But yeah, that was their plan all along, was to get this guy to give up his FFL. The guy is a pastor, a school teacher. Look, I don't know this person, but reading about them says upstanding member of the community. I could always be proven wrong, but this to me just looks like, okay, this guy has an FFL out of his home. We're going to end this right now. We're going to make an example of this guy. Well, what the ATF is doing is making an example of themselves. Yeah, let's go on. Let's get to the third story we've got here. This one about Hunter Biden.
President Joe Biden's son will be indicted on gun charges stemming from his drug use. Special counsel David Weiss said on Wednesday his office intends to file charges against Hunter Biden before the end of the month. He referenced potential violations of federal law for both lying on the background check Hunter completed to obtain a gun and his possession of it while allegedly using crack cocaine. The Speedy Trial Act requires that the government obtain the return of an indictment by a grand jury by Friday, September 29, 2023, at the earliest. The government intends to seek the return of an indictment in this case before that date, Weiss's office wrote in a court filing. The legal filing, first reported by CNN, indicates Hunter's long-running legal saga may be far from over. The notice that felony charges are imminent sets up a high-profile fight over the conduct of the president's son as he pursues re-election next year. It also creates a showdown over an increasingly uncertain aspect of federal firearms law. Hunter Biden previously agreed to admit to the facts underlying the potential charges, forfeit his right to own firearms, and agree to a pretrial diversion program in order to avoid jail time. Biden shall waive indictment in relation to the information filed in the United States District Court for the District of Delaware on June 20, 2023, which charges Biden with one count of knowingly possessing a firearm while then an unlawful user of or person addicted to a controlled substance in violation of Title 18, United States Code, Sections 922, G, 3, and 924, A, 2, 2018, the proposed agreement said. The United States agrees that if Biden complies with all of his respective obligations under the agreement, then the United States, within 30 days after the expiration of the diversion period, will file a motion with the court seeking the dismissal of the information. However, that deal fell apart when U.S. District Judge Mary Ellen Noreika questioned the novel way it attempted to link a guilty plea on 2 tax misdemeanor charges with the pretrial diversion program. The prodding revealed a significant gap in understanding between the two sides, ultimately leading to the agreement's dissolution. The bottom line is that the structure of the deal was convoluted and poorly thought out, and the connection between the two is weirdly done, Ken White, a former federal prosecutor and current co-host of the legal podcast Serious Trouble, told The Reload at the time. Hunter Biden's legal woes stem from a 2018 incident where a revolver he purchased was recovered from a dumpster behind a grocery store near his home in Delaware. The gun was turned over to local police, who traced it back to Biden and discovered it was his then-girlfriend who threw the gun in the trash out of apparent concern for Hunter's safety. The incident first made news when Politico reported in 2021 that the Secret Service had attempted to retrieve the background check form Hunter had filed out to buy the gun, but was rebuffed by the dealer because the agency wasn't authorized to take the documents. Shortly after that news broke, Hunter went on a media tour promoting his memoir Beautiful Things. In that book, he admitted to using crack cocaine every 15 minutes during the period of time when he bought and owned the gun. The statement of facts Hunter was set to agree to during the plea deal appeared to reference that very public confession, and he admitted the book was the basis for that during the failed plea hearing with Judge Noreika.
All right. I want to add additional information to a few of the points in here. Let me find it again. The Hunter Biden's legal woes stem from a 2018 incident where a revolver he purchased was recovered from a dumpster behind a grocery store near his home in Delaware. The gun was turned over to local police, who traced it back to Biden and discovered it was his then-girlfriend who threw the gun in the trash. His then-girlfriend is Hunter Biden's former sister-in-law. In other words, the wife of his dead brother. If you can't write stuff like this, because people, if it were fiction, would say that's too unbelievable. This family is so incredibly corrupt and inbred that I want to know, what I want to know is, obviously, if you've watched Joe Biden on television, you know he doesn't have the mental faculties to execute the office of the president. Somebody behind the scenes does. I'm beginning to suspect it's Joe's wife, Jill, who's the one that really pressured him to run for president. I have no facts to back any of this up, but I'm thinking that the everything gets twisted so much when this comes to trial, and he gets a minor slap on the wrist. Biden's press office, Joe Biden's press office is going to say, this is all Donald Trump's fault. It's his people in the FBI that are pursuing this, and this is all political against us, despite the fact that it is and always has been, at least for the last 20 years, a Democrat FBI. Where are we at? Let's see here. Oh, going back to the last story, Robert says they're not going to be, speaking of the AFT, they're not going to be happy until they have another Waco or Ruby Ridge. They do have a militaristic side to them there. That's absolutely certain. And then going to the current story about Hunter, don't worry, he'll never see a day in jail. The big guy already has a pocket pardon ready to go. You're right about that. You're absolutely right about that. And Robert goes back to what I was saying, girlfriend / late brother's widow. Yep. That's the whole family just smells of nepotism, and it's too bad they're from Delaware. I would think, not to offend the rest of the people from that state, I'm thinking, something more along the lines of southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, banjos playing in the background, and deformed children from too many first cousin marriages. That's what this. That's Oh. Yeah. Let's go ahead and move on here. I'm going to go ahead. This is story number 4. This is another one of, if you've got the right connections, the gun laws, they really don't apply to you.
I don't like gun laws as a general rule. I find the majority of them to be infringements on the Second Amendment. However, many places have rules about guns regardless of how I feel about them. Until the courts strike them down, they're the law, and as a result, a lot of people are restricted in various ways. If they break the law, they face serious jail time, and we all know it. That is unless they're a professional football player for the home team. If that's the case, all bets are off. Gun charges against Patriots defensive back Jack Jones have been dropped, according to Suffolk County District Attorney Kevin Hayden. With less than 1 week until the opening game for the New England Patriots, Jones, 25, moved his court day up to Tuesday morning and agreed to a plea deal in Boston Municipal Court. In exchange for a null proska, a formal document where prosecutors drop charges, Jones agreed to 1 year of pretrial probation and 48 hours of community service, Hayden's office said. Jones had been facing 2 counts of possession of a concealed weapon in a secure area of an airport, possession of ammunition without an FID card, unlawful possession of a firearm, carrying a loaded firearm, and possession of a large-capacity feeding device in connection with an arrest in June when officials said he had loaded guns and ammunition in his carry-on bag as he tried to fly out of Logan Airport following Patriots training minicamp.
All right. This were you or I, we'd be under the jail. He happens to be a running back, or a defensive back for the Patriots, and so Boston, they can't do enough to pat this guy on the back and say, just Please don't do it again. And oh, by the way, score a big hit for us on the opening day game. 48 hours. 48 hours of community service and a year of probation. Big deal. That by the way, that story was written by Tom Knighton on Bearing Arms, and the Nola Presqui, as I know it, nolo contendere, means I'll accept the punishment without accepting guilt. Is my understanding of what that means as far as the legal terminology. And I am not Alex Uli. I'm not an attorney. That's just my understanding. Is I don't accept guilt, but I will accept punishment, and it's a way for them to give the lightest tap on the wrist they can as prosecution. Different levels of prosecution for different people. As Tom said, it's like Animal Farm. All animals are created equal. It's just some are more equal than others. Last story tonight, and I'm going to get into this one. And guess what? We're going to go late. That's good. It means I've got a lot of news to get to you. Next story here is an SAF press release, and we're going to go ahead and talk about Los Gatos right now.
The Second Amendment Foundation is celebrating a small but significant victory after the community of Los Gatos in Santa Clara County decided to suspend enforcement of an ordinance adopted earlier this year establishing several new sensitive areas where legal concealed carry is prohibited. Enforcement of the ordinance was put on hold after the law firm of Michel and Associates warned the city it would be sued on constitutional grounds if the new law was enforced. The law firm is representing SAF and the California Rifle and Pistol Association in this effort. According to published reports, said SAF founder and executive vice president Alan M. Gottlieb, the town is waiting to see whether litigation against pending state legislation is resolved. That's fine with us because it means this restrictive ordinance will not be enforced. Designating areas as sensitive places where lawful concealed carry is prohibited is a strategy by gun prohibitionists to get around new guidelines set down in the 2022 Bruin ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court regarding concealed carry in public. We are already challenging similar restrictions in New York, New Jersey, Maryland, Illinois, and elsewhere in California, noted SAF Executive Director Adam Kraut. Such regulations are clearly designed to circumvent the Supreme Court's edict, and we will oppose them wherever they appear. State and municipal governments cannot be allowed to flagrantly thumb their noses at the High Court, no matter how much they dislike the right to bear arms. The ordinance was to have taken effect September 1st, 2023, but with the threat of litigation, there will be no enforcement of the sensitive areas prohibition at certain locations, including some town property, places of worship, and on public transportation. Gottlieb and Kraut consider this an important first step in the effort to stop these expansive interpretations of what constitutes a sensitive place.
All right. On this one, this is the best kind of win. This is the kind of win that says, look, we're going to sue you, and we're going to beat you. We're going to take a bunch of your money. And the city goes, yeah, you're probably right. Maybe we better rethink this. We've got a heck of a great track record, we being the SAF, of taking government entities to court and winning. And this is an example of that goes right. I expect this to happen in a lot more places. And let's be fair to Los Gatos. Let's be fair to this city. Their list of sensitive places is a very mild version of New York, New Jersey's versions. Some town property, places of worship, on public transportation is what they are not going to be enforcing. New York, New Jersey go way beyond that, and we're going to win there too. But at least one city in California is taking notice when Chuck Michelle goes, "We're going to sue your pants off. We're going to win, and you're going to hurt because of it." So good for them. Good for SAF. Good for them. All right, that is going to do it for me today. That's what I got for today. I do plan on going live again tomorrow, Thursday, and we'll talk about the stories of the day. I should be back on my regular time, 7 p.m. Central Time. And Friday is going to be Legal Friday with Alex Uli. Do not be shocked if that last story comes up again Friday. And we're going to be talking more in depth. If you have a chance, go look at Alex Uli's YouTube channel. He and his dad, Mike, talked about the ATF's the new proposed rule that means if you're going to be, that basically means if you're going to sell any firearm, you need to have an FFL, and juxtapose that with the first story of, if you have a home FFL, we're going to show up at your house with automatic weapons with pre-filled out forms, and we're going to force you to give them up. So this is just an all-out war of the Biden administration on gun owners. Those two stories I can just about guarantee you will be on the Legal Friday edition of The Bullet when Alex joins us Friday evening. And then, of course, this Saturday, I have, I have the Week in Review edition of the Bullet on Saturday. Robert wants to know, who sells guns? Well, I believe it should be your absolute God-given right to buy or sell any kind of firearms you so choose. It's your property. What does the government have any business saying what you can do with it? You ought to be able to do whatever you want with it. And so, I just... Anyway, that's going to do it for me today. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Podcast listeners, thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.